Sean here from Srkcycles. We have a 2013 Yamaha FZ6R. It's a good looking bike. Check it out. Check it out. Get down low. Great entry level bike for someone who's like, I'm looking to. I would try to talk you out of a 600 Supersport to buy something like this. Just a lot more manageable. And if you learn what you're doing, you can still beat your buddies in the 600s who don't know what they're doing. You see, I mean, it's still fun. It's still awesome. I just popped the clutch to do a wheelie and just smoked them tires up. If I did it again, it would pop the front end up. It's got a very smooth, like incredibly smooth throttle. Like everything about this bike is just smooth. Okay, so watch this. Alright, so watch. This is what I'm talking about. I'm in first gear, right? It's got power, but all the power is at the top end of the RPMs. So you can make little mistakes at the lower range, and it's not going to be that big of a deal. It's not going to get you. Now, this thing's got a Two Brothers exhaust. It does shoot flames. It's pretty cool. A little loud, but it is pretty cool. So what's the big difference between this and a Supersport? Well, a couple horsepower. This is rated around 75 horsepower. A Supersport 600 is going to be closer to 120 horsepower. So you're looking at a lot of horsepower actually. This pulls, and this is going to have fun. It's not going to pull your arms off. You can absolutely kill yourself on this bike. It can go very fast. I mean, I'm sure this bike has a top speed of, over 130. It could go very fast, at very dangerous speeds, but it's just not as twitchy, and you're not going to get going as fast in those situations as you could in a Supersport, unless you're just on a big old straight highway. The problem with these Supersport bikes is you got people who don't know what they're doing, and from here to that stop sign, they can go 80 miles an hour. Or faster. And then a turn comes up and they're like, oh no, what do I do? And then they, that's how you get in trouble. Something like this, it's still fast. You'll have a blast riding this bike. I'll show you how fast it is actually. I'll get 25 real quick. Hit that 25 and then slow it down. That little gauge is a little off. It's a quick. If this is your first bike, you're gonna think this is the fastest thing in the world. You're gonna be like you'd be like, yo, you've been trying to race people with leader bikes and Hayabusas. Yo, Mr. Hayabusa man, my bike will smoke you. My bike is so fast. You'll realize real quick that your bike's not that fast, but it still feels fast to you. It's fast enough for you. It's probably too fast for your skill level. Maybe you should have started out on something a little slower, but this is much better than starting out on a 600 Supersport. Most of my friends that bought 600 Supersports did wreck their bikes because they were doing something stupid, or the ability they had in their mind was a little different than the ability their body actually had. Some more differences between this and the Supersport, which would be the R6, is it's a little bit heavier. Well, this is rocking around 170 pounds. No, 170 pounds. 470 pounds. The Supersport, it's going to be closer to around 400 pounds. 420, you know what I mean? So give or take, this is about 50 pounds heavier. And you're wondering, you're like, how is that? Well, a couple different things. They don't use the lightest, and it's a lot cheaper too. These are way cheaper from brand new. And the reason is they don't use the lightest possible components. Everything's on aluminum alloy or titanium or adamantium or whatever. You know, they just use, you know, they got a, from what it looks like, they got a steel tubular frame, cheap to make, cheap to put together, not the lightest, but definitely gets it done. And they have, like, you know, just a steel swing arm, and it's stuff like that they're saving a lot of money on, which makes it cheaper. But because who cares? It's a couple pounds more. You're saving a lot of money. The people who are riding this bike, they don't care. It's got a 4.7 gallon gas tank. I think it got around 45 miles to the gallon. So you're doing somewhere around, you know, 230 on a trip. You're doing about 230 miles to the gallon. That ain't bad. That is, no, 230 to the tank. That's what you're doing. So you got the dirt bike style handlebars. They're sitting up. You're not reaching down. The ergonomics are going to be a little more comfortable for you. You could probably ride this bike a little bit longer distances than you could on a Supersport. It's 6 feet, of course. It feels so nimble. It's got the I think the 160 back tire, and it just no joke. It just feels so nimble. Because these things sit a little bit higher and stuff, you're kind of sitting more like you would on like a supermoto bike. They just want to throw down in the corners. If you know what you're doing, Valentino Rossi would destroy me on a bike like this, even if I was on a faster Supersport bike. I mean, even, there's way more people. I didn't have to use Valentino Rossi. Anyone who's semi-pro, who knew what they were doing, this bike handles very, very, very well. So don't think that, oh, you're going to get a slower bike than your buddies. If you have the ability, if you got the skill, your bike will be, you could be just as fast. You will be just as fast, not your bike. Because who are we kidding? We're not comparing bike to bike. Unless you're an idiot. Your buddy's like, yo, my bike is 1 horsepower faster, weighs 1 pound less. No, you compare bike with rider to bike with rider. And hey, it's not all about who's the fastest anyway. It's all about who keeps on the road, who's staying upright. Who's having the most fun. So this is one of those bikes that anyone could ride and have a lot of fun. You could be an expert rider, you could be riding for years. You can still hop on this thing, just destroy it in the curves, popping wheelies, riding wheelies. I mean, just doing whatever you normally do. You're just not doing it as fast. Although in the corners you probably could be as fast. Very, very, very fun bike. I love the white. It's a pearl white. I'm a big fan of white. because I like to be up. That's my turn. All right, because I like to be seen. Oh, okay. So here's something. Here's a little quick lesson. Anytime you're on a bike and you have to brake, emergency brake really fast, there's two things you want to do. One, you're looking at what's going on ahead of you, but almost just as important, you throw a big old glance at your rearview mirror to make sure you can brake. Because if you got a guy right behind you, you will outbrake almost anything on the road. So if you got some truck or some guy behind you, you might have to, there might be a better option in front of you than what's about to hit you in the back. So just make that a habit. Anytime you hard brake, you're looking behind you. You know what I mean? Make sure what's going on behind you. Very, very, very important. All right, guys, that wraps it up. This is Sean from Srkcycles. It's not what you're riding, but where you're going. We'll see you guys later.